Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome all of our witnesses and thank you for your testimony today. I'm a daughter of Selma, Alabama. I grew up there. I have the honor and privilege of representing them in Congress, and there's nothing more important and sacred than the right to vote, in my opinion, and protecting that right, I think, is something that is clearly within our preview here on this committee. I'm a little bit puzzled by our hearing today. I mean, the first premise that is being made is that somehow giving everyone a ballot who is eligible is somehow flawed. I think that we as elected officials should be in the business of making it easier for people to vote, not harder for people to vote. I represent Alabama, and Alabama has same-day voting only. We don't have early voting. We don't have, our absentee ballot process has been restricted. You can't even help your elderly grandmother without helping her to vote. Who has an elderly grandmother who has a stroke victim. You can't help them prepare their ballot because you're for fear of a felony being committed. That's the most recent charge that Alabama has. There are California is one of the largest states in the union, and they have a lot of folks, and they provide eligible voters their vote by mail. And so I don't think that there's something inherently wrong with sending ballots out to every eligible voter. In fact, I would venture to guess that California does have a better return rate and participation rate than states like Alabama that make it harder for folks to vote. And the second reason why we're here today is because somehow getting the results that same night is so critically important. It's more important than making sure that our overseas military personnel who are eligible voters get their ballots back in a timely fashion. I'm not sure what timely is, but I can tell you same-day results does not make it any less prone to fraud or any more prone to fraud. Rather, it allows eligible voters time, especially those that are overseas, an opportunity to cast their ballot. I would venture to guess, Mr. Chairman, that it's more important that we protect that sacred right to vote than to get some result in that same night. So for me, I think that I've been encouraging folks in the state of Alabama to do early voting and to make it easier for folks to vote, not harder for folks to vote. And I'm not really sure why my colleagues don't think that that's right, especially when the Brennan Center says that there's a 0.05% of fraud that occurs during elections, not a rampant fraud from everyone. So I'd like to ask you, Mr. Palmer, as one of the directors of, one of the commissioners for the Federal Election Commission, are there best practices that are recommended when it comes to military personnel voting or absentee balloting? Is there sort of one way to do that? And I also would like, I guess the first question that I have for you is it a right for American citizens to have the right to vote when they turn 18? Isn't that a right that every American citizen has? And if so, why is it that so many states like Alabama make it harder for folks to vote rather than easier for folks to vote?
Thank you. The EAC's clearinghouse function sort of takes best practices from across the country, and we share them with each other so states can see how things are working across the country. Our EVE survey is something that our election officials across the country could also view and compare it to other states and similar counties. And I agree with you that coming of age at 18 and being able to register to vote and vote, talking about the opportunities. It may include in-person absentee. It may include in-person early voting, overseas voting.
So there's no, actually, I'm running out of time. So there's no sort of standardized practice that is recommended by the commission?
No, I think we take a best practices look and also the use of technology to make our elections more efficient.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I just want to go on record as saying that the right to vote is a sacred right. It is not a privilege for the few. Somehow my colleagues on the other side of the aisle think that somehow it's a privilege. It is a birthright of every American citizen to be able to vote, and we should be in the business of making it easier to vote, not harder to vote. I'd like to put into the record unanimous consent to enter into the record 2 items. A letter we sent to you, Mr. Chairman, requesting that the majority be allowed to have it testify by remote access. And secondly, a January 2025 Orange County grand jury report on November 2024 election, which made 3 findings that there was no evidence of fraud in California.
Without objection.
Thank you. I yield back the balance of my time.